This is the Amplify Your Business podcast. This is the Amplify Your Business podcast with Matt J Hanham, where I have candid conversations with inspiring people and turn topics inside out to help you get amplified in business and in life. Welcome to the show, everyone. It's Inside Out today, and today I'm discussing, do you have to be good at business to have success in business? What does that mean?
The difference between a great CEO and not one is one knows that they're a parent and one thinks they're a babysitter.
Yeah.
It's your job.
It's your job.
It's your fucking job.
Many of us carry this image of this all-knowing superhero who stands and commands and protects his followers. But that's kind of an image from another time. And what's also outdated are the leadership development programs that are based on success models for a world that was, not a world that is or that is coming.
I don't know. Good question. Well, I do know. I've got an idea. But anyway, look, hope you're well. Super pumped to have you here with me today and hope you can get a little bit out of this episode. And I think probably this comes back to, sometimes we ask ourselves a question like, am I any good at this? Like, am I any good at business? Like, especially early days, like, what am I doing? Is it time to give up? Like, when do I give up? And the answer, I think, is you just know if you should keep going because you cannot really fully fail unless you quit. Unless you quit, right? So if you're not failing, you can keep going. If you really want it, you'll keep going. But sometimes you're just going to sit there and go, gee, I'm not sure I'm good enough for this. But it's not all about good, right? There's so many different traits at business, and which bit do you need to be good at? Like, do you need to be good at the business part or, do you need to be good at the service or making the product that you sell? Like, which part do I actually need to be good at? Is passion the thing that you need? Is passion good for business? Is it all you need? There's so many questions around this, and I'm sure you've asked yourself, and there's a deep, dark 3 a.m., you're sweating one night, you're in bed, it's 3 a.m., you've got a problem, you're like, am I cut out for this? Like, you might have been doing this for years, but am I really cut out? And I've had these conversations with myself, I've had these conversations with other people. And I think like any other skill, you get better. So do you have to be good at business to have success? What makes a good business person? A good business person, I'm like, obviously there's some passion involved, right? There's some passion involved, but I've honestly seen situations. I could rewind back, and I was an insolvency accountant for a period of time. Companies going bust. You're trying to help them and trying to clean up their affairs and pay back the people as much as you can that are owed money, right? So in that situation, like, what do you do? Like, I've seen many businesses in that situation go bust, and then you talk to the founders and talk them through their last 20 years, and they've only had a bad last 12 months. And the only reason they've had that bad last 12 months is because that, a couple of, other situations or a big market corrections happened. But then before that, that's the most intriguing part. And there's one business I'm thinking of in particular, and they had a good 20-year run. They were buying all this equipment and machinery, and they were like 20 odd years, and they were doing well for their family and put them through private schools, and they bought the commercial property that they were working from, and then they bought the place next door, and then they bought the place across the road, and they bought other investments. And I was like, I cut this and I dissected this up, and I was like, these guys were just in the right place at the right time. When I talked to them about business fundamentals and all these other areas of things that they should know about, like their cash positions and everything, they had very little understanding despite having done this for 30 odd years. What they knew best was what they did for a business, and they were a transport business, and that was that. But that shows you can have success. Now, they fell down, and partly it was economic, but actually there was another issue in the business, and it was not caused by the founders and owners, and it was something related to something related to, I guess, the family, and it is what it is. These things happen. But the point is, he did have success for 20 odd years, and he could have actually carried that success through had it not been for these couple of events. So I guess my fundamental answer is no, you don't have to be good if you make a couple of good decisions, but it sure helps if you do. So what makes, or if you are good and if you do improve yourself all the time. So what is it, what makes a good business person? Is passion enough? Do you have to be passionate? Well, no, definitely it's been proven that some businesses you don't have to have, full passion for, the actual product or service, but you have to at least show some sort of passion for the business itself, by spending some time on it, by helping it, by improving it, by doing whatever. I mean, that's kind of a given. And look, you could argue against it, but let's face it, why would we? If the business is making you money, even if it's just for that reason alone and you're just driven to money, you'll be focusing on it enough to make sure it keeps making you more money, right? Simple as that. And let's face it, we are all in this game for money as one of our motivators. Now, your purpose, all these things are highly useful, highly needed. Certainly speaking from the founder's hat, you need to have some sort of purpose to help drive you. But without the economics to go with it, you are nowhere, in no man's land, and you can't do anything. You need economics somewhere. I mean, even not-for-profits. Everyone needs economics. They need resource, financial, human capital, whatever that looks like, but you can't do much without some resource to help you along the way, right? So, what do you need? Passion's a good one. It's a great place to start. You need some pride. You need some determination. I mean, determination's got to be one of the big ones, right? I mean, honestly, I talked about this at the start, but how often have you sat there at night, in the evening, your staff have gone home, you've just lost your major client, you're this, you're that. Like, these things happen in business and it's a lonely place. We've talked about this before. Sometimes it's hard to share with other people. Like, what do you do? How do you, if you don't have determination, dogged determination to keep going, you've got nothing. Now, this can be said for anyone, but as an entrepreneur, as a business person, you've got to keep moving. And the reason why you've got to do that is because it's hard to, you can't share the burden often. You've just got to keep moving and you have to have that inbuilt determination. You have to be a risk taker as well. And this is one of the other challenges. You need to be able to take measured risk, but not take too much risk at times because you can't obviously put everything in jeopardy. Now, a lot of people struggle with this. And you would have heard people over and over and again say, look, I just need that one big idea before I can go and make it big in business. That's really just their excuse and way of saying, look, I'm getting paid right now. There's nothing wrong with that, but I hate my job. So, one day is never going to happen because the truth is the only thing that's wrong is they're too scared to take a risk. They need some sort of meal ticket, some sort of golden ticket to help them launch themselves into their entrepreneurial journey. It's bullshit. It's just that it's a lack of comfort in being willing to take a risk and try something new. So to do that, they're thinking they're going to start the next Facebook like it's something they're just going to have an idea one day and start the next Facebook. Facebook didn't work that way. It happened quick, but it didn't happen by just, I'm just going to do this on the side for 2 or 3 hours for a week. And do you know what? Boom! We're going to be billionaires. That's not how it happens. So you need to be able to take risks, but take, calculated risks and not sort of put everyone at risk in the process because that's also quite dangerous. You need to be personable, at least to the extent that you need to be able to have agreements, contracts, consultation with clients, with employees, with suppliers, with all these people that you need involved. And look, some of you out there might say, look, I do all this automatic and digitally. Now you can, but there's very few digital businesses that still don't have some form of human relations, between clients or suppliers or employees or whoever that is, right? So you still need to be able to communicate and be personable. That rolls heavily into leadership. And if you can't lead yourself and others and show that vision, show that passion, then no one's going to understand. Like if you're starting a new product, or let's say you're even selling an old product. Let's just say you're selling an old garden shed. Now, your passion for garden sheds, for the right size door, for the perfect size window, for the excellent airflow, whatever it is, but your passion for garden sheds will probably be able to make you sell a garden shed or help you sell a garden shed to someone for 10% more. if you show all these things. But you have to lead people to do that. You got to lead yourself. You need to lead any staff you have. You need to lead these clients on this journey as to why your shed is amazing. You could just picture them right now. They're out there, they're doing a bit of woodworking and whatever. But you need to be able to lead and persuade and have influence. And that is the key. It's one key, but I've already said like 7 keys. What is this person, this entrepreneur, this business owner, like how many things do they have to do? Well, the answer is a lot. But look, we all have to have lots of skills in life, right? This is just a new thing, but these are the skills that you need to master. And this is why to be good at business is very different to being exceptional at business, because there is just a lot of skills that we all have as a baseline that we grow. And to get exceptional means you have to tie these things all together at once. And that is a big deal. There is a lot. And that is why only a few companies will get big and scale and become billion-dollar companies out of the hundreds of thousands of companies that get started. Why is it that 97% are gone within 5 years? Well, because it's not that easy. You may even have periods of success, but it is still a difficult challenge. It's a game that requires an incredible number of traits, but so does life, right? Look, you need to know finances. If you can't understand, at the end of the day, we all talk about purpose and being driven and all these other things, but at the end of the day, a business is basically just an entity, or a business is owned by an entity that has a set of fiscal obligations. Now, it needs to bring money in, it needs to send money out, it needs to send money home, you need to pay for your life. As whoever the owners are, and if there's 1,000 owners or if there's 100,000 shareholders, well, guess what? You need to send money to each of those people. Hopefully there's enough. If you make $1, it doesn't go very far amongst 10,000 people, does it? So at the end of the day, business is about numbers. And if you don't have a clear understanding of at least some of the basics of numbers, you can't rely on talking to your accountant once a year. That's not how this works. You need to understand basic financial knowledge. There's another one. You need to learn to leverage people, equipment, machinery, whatever it is that you do. Property, you need to leverage. There's never-ending number of skills that it takes to become a good or better, an amazing business person. But this is the challenge. It's a long way. And to be honest, I've seen people succeed that haven't necessarily nailed all of these. And I guess that's the answer. You don't have to nail all of them to get a level of success. Probably no different to the person in any old job. An amazing communicator might be terrible at doing the work. Someone that's amazing at doing the work, at building the cars, at whatever, might not be a great communicator. And we see this with strengths, and that's why we work better in teams. A successful business person or entrepreneur will always know how to find opportunities. And when they're finding opportunities, that might be people or products or places or whatever it is, they're also looking for win-win opportunities. Now, I know it's really cliche, but the thing about a win-win opportunity is it's the quickest way to actually, secure an opportunity is by finding something that's in it for them as well. Otherwise, you'll spend 10 times more time trying to find an opportunity that eventually you can sneak off someone, take it away from them. And there's no point focusing on that. Focus on where you can, influence someone else for the better that influences you, because they're not going to say no. You might have a conversation, you have to figure it out, you might have to get comfortable as a relationship, but they're not going to say no generally to things that improve their business. You've got to find those opportunities out there. They are out there. And that's what creating a business looks like. That's the same, that guy, he's got, hey, one day I'm going to find this next big idea and the next Facebook's going to be me. It's never going to happen. The same guy sitting around, you see him on the weekend. Does he look like Mark Zuckerberg to you? Does he look like he's capable of thinking and all of a sudden, bang, he's got $1 billion company? Does he look like he wants to run $1 billion company? Nah, not even close. That's his dream that he hangs on to just to feel comfort. But the truth is, it's not what he wants. You have to have an amazing attitude and you have to be resilient. At the end of the day, it just, you're going to get knocked and knocked and knocked and knocked. And that's the game. And it's the same game as if you were trying to be a professional pole vaulter. You are going to get, you're going to fall down a lot, right? And so you have to have a great attitude and you have to be resilient. You've got to be grateful. Because if you can't be grateful for all of this and grateful for everything you've got, you're just not going to manifest and create more. It's just not going to happen for you. You have to have, and look, these are a long list of traits. There's a long list of traits. But these are just some. We're going to finish up with a couple more, but these are just some traits. You need these. If you're going to be a business owner, if you're going to be just a great human, you need to have all these skills in general. But there's no better place. There's no better training ground. There's no better situation to learn these life skills than to run a business, than to lead people, than to have business, clients and customers, than to have suppliers that you manage, than to manage your finances. All these things are amazing opportunities that are immediately granted to you and given to you as an opportunity the day that you become a business person, a business owner. The day you start that business is the day that you have to start taking on these obligations and responsibilities. And there's another word for you, responsibility. You have to take the end responsibility. If something happens in your business, it doesn't matter who did it, how it happened, what happened. It is your responsibility to fix. End of story. You need your health. You can't be expected, nor is it possible to live a good life and run a business if you can't at least look after your health. Now, all of these things have exceptions, right? That's what I said at the start. Yes, you don't have to be good. You might be lucky. You might have just done enough of one thing really well. But all of these things are super important. Your health is no different. A healthy person makes the right decisions. A healthy person, puts the right people and things and lifestyle choices first when needed. Doesn't mean they don't work long hours. Just means they're healthy. One of the big things, I was having a conversation on the weekend about schooling, and this, the topic of networking came up and who you grew up with and learning, and who you learn around and who you've got in your network. And these things are so incredibly important. But you can create your network. If you have no network, there's an amazing story of a guy I know who was in a religious, I don't know what you want to call it, but he was in a small religious group where they all didn't really interact with many of the outside world. So they basically went to church at the same place that they went to school, and he went from like kindergarten right through to year 12 and even university in this religious group, right the way through. And at like 25, I think he was about 25, he just like, I've got to bust out of here. Like, I've got to get out of this thing. I've got to go meet this. There's a whole world out there, right? But his network was so confined. His network was so confined down to such a small group of people by not being able to really communicate with anyone outside of, his 7 days were full up. 7 days were full up with activities all at this one place. And that's where he'd go from his house to his school/church. And he would be there like 7 days a week. But the problem is, what does he do? I mean, right now, and this has taken him a few years, but he's building a successful personal brand, and he's building, relationships with people. He's actually running a podcast. He's doing an amazing job. He's out there and he's interviewed some of the top people, like right through the States, like everyone. He's interviewed all these amazing people on his podcast. And that's the thing. The network is seriously important. But like anything, if you haven't got one yet, it doesn't matter. He is proof of that. Didn't have a network. So found a way, created one. Use a podcast, honestly. If you don't know already, I think I'll tell anyone that listens, start a podcast. If you have any interest whatsoever, start a podcast. It's a lot of fun. It's a good way to meet people. If you're a bit introverted or whatever, start a podcast. It's a really good way to create content. If you have a business, if you do anything, there's another one. Create content as your business. But there really is only one key thing at the end of the day, and that is that you have to take action, and you have to take the action that is needed. You can't stuff around. All these traits are all super necessary, but if you don't do the right thing at the right time, like I talked about this transport company, he might not have known what he was doing, but he often found a way that he seemed to be doing the right thing at the right time. And he had 20 years of success. Because it doesn't matter how smart you are or what you've got or what equipment. If you're doing the right thing at the right time, there is every opportunity that you effectively become a good business person by default. And that's you. There you are. You're making the choice and you get it done. So you are a good business person. If you're listening right now, you've got every chance of success, and you are going to have these constant moments of like, oh, I don't know. Am I good enough? What's going to happen to me? But you are good enough. You know you are. Like, you know it inside. You just know that this is that adversity that you have to move through. You know, there's a heap of things, and I've given a few examples there, and maybe there's a couple of areas you need to work on there. But so what? Work on them. Work on them and continue to face challenges. It's okay. At the end of the day, business is something that you can do for a long, long time in your life. And it'll certainly help if you're good at it, but you don't have to be good at it to start to create some success. And it doesn't matter if you have 18 years of a bad run and then you have a couple of amazing years, right? It's happened. It's happened before. It could happen to you, but you just have to show that determination and keep moving with it. So I hope you enjoyed today, guys. I think it was a really cool topic. I really, there is some great examples of people that have been great and people that aren't technically great. I mean, often it's not, look, it's not about being the most perfect, in how you go about things. Often it's just taking the right action for what presents. But until next time, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'd love you to share it with a friend. Like, maybe there's someone that that's struggling a little bit in business right now, and you think that they're hearing that, they're working on some of those areas, and they're, maybe in a couple of years they could be a good person, maybe even a great business person, and maybe they just need to hear that. Until next time, guys, I look forward to speaking with you soon. Ciao.